23. I just want to point out for everyone who is here that this room has two exits. They're on the right-hand side of the audience, they're at the front of the room, and the back of the room. If you have to evacuate for any reason, we ask you to proceed through the exit closest to you, go outside, move away from the building, and don't come back in till our fire officials have instructed us to do so. I'd like to ask everyone to please rise for a pledge of allegiance to the American flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Jeff's not here, so I'll appoint Jason to vote for Jeff.
That way, yeah, you can have that.
And
Is Bruce coming, do you know? or-
here, I think he was going to be off. Bruce is not here.
Oh, thank you.
There. We have 7 voting members. That is more than a quorum. So we can conduct this meeting, and we will proceed. First part of our meeting is administrative board work, where the board gets its business done. And then we have 3 public hearings. One is a formal review of a site plan, and the other is an amendment to a site plan. And then the third is a lot line adjustment, which is really a subdivision. So the approval of minutes, we will do those next week for them to be completed. Regional impact determinations.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, there is one regional impact determination. Staff did receive a formal review of a lot line adjustment and consolidation plan to adjust the lot line of map 28, lot 29-2 and consolidate with map 17, lot 2 and map 28, lot 31-6. 52 Grenier Field Road, map 28, lot 29-2 and 104 Grenier Field Road, map 17, lot 2, zoned industrial 2. Londonderry Holdings LLC and Woodhaven Limited Partnership are the owners, and Ken Solinsky was the applicant. Staff did review this versus the 7 criteria that Southern New Hampshire Planning has presented, and staff does recommend that this project is not a development of regional impact.
Okay, let's see, Jeff came, so Jason, you're not voting, but you'll still be,
Great while it lasted.
I know, exactly. Yeah. Ooh, I was so excited there for a second.
Feel that little bit of power leaving.
okay, Al.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that this project does not meet the standards for regional impact.
Second?
Okay, motion by Al, second by Jake. Any discussion by the board? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Abstentions, chair votes affirmative, and motion carries, and that item is not of regional impact. Discussion with staff?
Yep, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, staff has received a 60-day extension request from Eric Mitchell and Associates regarding the Pettori site plan on Rockingham Road. They are asking for a 60-day extension to finish up the conditions of approval. The first extension request was back in May of this year. They've extended it till July 8th of this year. So should the board grant the 60-day extension, it'll bring them to September 7th of this year.
September 7th, okay.
So moved, Mr. Chairman, to grant the extension until
Second.
September 7th.
Motion by Al, second by Jake. Any discussion on the extension? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Abstentions, and chair votes affirmative. And Pettori Brothers have an extension to the 7th of September, 2023. Any further discussions?
Further discussion, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, back in May of 2008, Town of Londonderry Planning Board approved a site plan for Penske Trucking Leasing at 22 Jacksbridge Road, map 15, lot 103-3. The approval was for a 16,200 square foot truck service facility with associated office areas, 2-lane full fuel station, fuel island, and appurtenant access drives in parking and utilities. As part of that, they had also included an area reserved for future parking of 28 additional spaces at the southwest corner of the site. Here we are 15 years later, and the Penske does need those additional 28 spaces. So as information for the board, staff figured we'd bring it to your attention. And again, the plan was approved with that future reserved area, and construction will begin. Again, just for information purposes only.
Okay, any questions from the board?
Nope.
Okay. All set? Anything
Lastly,
else?
Mr. Chairman, one thing you might want to make a mention of is the third item on the new plans, public
Yes.
hearing on application for formal review of the lot line adjustment and consolidation plan. Again, staff has recommended to the applicant that this be continued to the July 12th meeting to allow time for the third-party escrow to be established and for the third party to complete their review. So again, the third item under new plans, item C, we're recommending that be continued to the next week's meeting.
Okay, has the applicant made that request?
The applicant has acknowledged that we are advising him to continue.
Okay, I'll just read it into the record, and then we'll get,
Yep.
we'll continue it. This is a public hearing on an application for a formal review of a lot line adjustment and consolidation plan to adjust the lot line of map 28, lot 29-2, and consolidate with map 17, lot 2, and map 28, lot 31-6. 52 Grenier Field Road, tax map 28, lot 29-2, and 104 Grenier Field Road, tax map 7, lot 2, zone industrial 2. Londonderry Holdings LLC and Woodhaven Limited Partnership are the owners, and Ken Selinsky is the applicant. And staff has recommended that this be continued the 7th of, July 12th of 2023. Any discussion by the board?
Nope.
If not, I'll take a motion that we.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Second?
Motion by Al, second by Jake on continuance. Any discussion by the board? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Abstentions, chair is affirmative, motion carries. And the public hearing on a formal application for review of a lot line adjustment and consolidation plan to adjust the lot line of map 28, lot 29-2, and consolidate with map 17, lot 2, and map 28, lot 31-6, 52 Grenier Field Road, tax map 28, lot 29-2, and 104 Grenier Field Road, tax map 17, lot 2, zoned industrial 2. Londonderry Holdings LLC and Woodhaven Limited Partnership being the owners, and Ken Selinsky is the applicant, is continued to the 12th of July, 2023 at 7 PM, right here.
And just for the record, Mr. Chair, I don't see anybody representing the applicant in the room this evening.
Okay. I did a little pause there just in case that someone had a question, even though it is actually a public hearing too, so. So that is continued, and we will then go to the top of the list, where we have a public hearing on an application for a formal review of a site plan for a 102,418 square foot manufacturing facility and associated site improvements at 55 Pettingill Road, tax map 14, lot 49-3. This is Zone Gateway Business District. New NB Development Group LLC is the applicant, and One Pettingill Road Realty LLC is the owner. And first thing we have to do is to see if this is, the application is complete.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, there are no outstanding checklist items. Staff recommends that the board vote to accept the application as it is substantially complete, contains sufficient information to invoke the board's jurisdiction to allow the board to make an informed decision.
So move.
Second.
Accept it as complete, Mr. Chairman.
Motion by Al for completeness, second by Jake. Board have any discussion in regards to completeness? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Abstentions, and the chair votes affirmative. Motion carries, and the plan has been accepted as complete. This means that the public hearing starts on it, and also the 65-day time frame in which this board has to render a decision. And who is making the presentation? And a very familiar person, so
Good evening. Mr. Chairman?
I need the official ID stuff and
You
everything.
bet. Members of the Londonderry Planning Board, my name is Jim Petropoulos. I'm a professional engineer with Hayner Swanson, Inc., doing business at 3 Congress Street in Nashua, New Hampshire, tonight representing New Balance Development Group. I'd like to introduce a couple people here for the project who may end up answering questions that I can't answer. Jim Halliday is with us this evening from New Hampshire, New Balance Development Group. John Campbell is the vice president at New Balance. He joins us this evening. Shane Mulroney is the project architect. Scott Thornton is our traffic consultant from Vanessa and Associates. And Kevin Smith, who I think you know, is a project consultant. And Kevin joins us this evening. And it's just read in the record, Mr. Chairman, we're here seeking a site plan approval for a proposed development to be located in the northwest part of Londonderry. With your permission, I'd like to present the facts of the project and then be able to answer any questions you may have, and those that I can't answer, I'll lean on my fellow project teammates. There's quite a bit of information I'm going to go over. I'm going to do my best to be informative and expeditious, and I thank John in advance for helping me man the screen, because I can't do both at once. This site is located at 55 Pettingill Road in northwest part of Londonderry. It's a recently subdivided parcel, map 28, lot 18-3, and the property measures 17.8 acres in size. It is located in the GB Gateway Business District in Londonderry. The abutters to the project, as you can see on the screen, to the north is the EFI facility. To the immediate east is the recently subdivided 4-acre lot, but you also see Innovation Way, also to the east. Pettingill Road borders the property to the south, as well as Ray Wazorek Drive, the Airport Connector Road to the west. Neighboring projects in this part of Londonderry include EFI, FedEx, Milton Cat, Prologis across the street, Bellavance Beverage, and FW Webb. And as you can see in the aerial photo, the property contains a combination of wooded areas and open ground cover. With regard to topography, there's a very gentle slope from Innovation Way cul-de-sac down to the Ray Wazorek Drive intersection. Is about 15 to 18 feet of grade change. Over on the west side of the site, there are 2 kind of man-made wetlands that have been flagged by our environmental service team, Gove Environmental. These wetlands really are a result of past excavation on the property. They are not vernal pools. Together, they measure about 825 square feet, so 2 very small areas. We've done a number of borings and test pits on the site. Primarily, deep deposits of sand are prevalent throughout the site. The property can be serviced by any number of utilities: public sewer, Manchester Water, underground telephone, electric, and gas. Really was set up when Pettingill Road was built about 10 years ago. John, if you could go to the next slide, please. And what's being proposed is to construct a 102,418 square foot manufacturing facility with supporting site improvements. This proposal is intended to be the 6th U.S.-based manufacturing facility for New Balance. New Balance, as you know, is a world-recognized brand that manufactures sneakers and sports apparel. The proposed facility will initially employ 160 people, with the hope of growing that number to 240 within the first year. The site has the ability to grow in the future. We've identified that on our master plan by having a second phase to this project. But that, of course, is at some point in the future. In any development, Mr. Chairman, that seeks to expand this facility, whether it's for building or parking, would end up updating their studies and needing to come back through this board for approval. So we're really here tonight for 102,418 square feet. John, one more slide, please. So some key elements to the project. The building itself, as I mentioned, 102,418 in terms of square feet. Of that, 22,000 square feet will be offices for the facility. The remaining 80,000 square feet will be manufacturing of sneakers. The main access to the site will be from Innovation Way, the cul-de-sac at Innovation Way. And of course, we know Innovation Way enters and intersects with Pettingill Road at a fully signalized intersection. This driveway will serve as the main entrance for all employees and visitors. And of course, in and out, it's the only way in and out for the truck court located on the east side of the site. The plan also shows a right turn out exit only onto Pettingill. This exit will provide employees a more direct route to leave the site and to get to westbound destinations once their shift has ended. The parking lot, main body of the parking lot is located on the west side of the site. Parking is provided for a total of 272 spaces, of which 9 are reserved spaces, handicap reserved spaces, and there are also 5 electric vehicle charging spaces being proposed. The east side of the building contains loading docks. There's four loading docks. There's a compactor, there's a dumpster area, and there's parking over there for 10 trailers. And as I mentioned, utilities will be brought in from Pettingill Road, all underground. With regard to stormwater, we're proposing 3 treatment practices to accommodate stormwater from the site. The first is located in the immediate southeast corner of the site as a surface practice, really to accommodate runoff from the loading dock area. And that will be a combination sediment forebay and extended detention. We have 2 other subsurface practices on the property. One main one located under the west parking lot, and then one located in between the front of the building and Pettingill Road. These subsurface septic systems are large detention facilities, and the practices have all been designed in accordance with the town of Londonderry stormwater standards as well as the state of New Hampshire standards. The overall result is we're providing qualitative treatment of runoff coming off these paved surfaces and roof, as well as quantitative treatment by reducing peak rates of runoff leaving the site. I did mention we've got 2 small wetland areas. You can see them better on this particular plan that's in front of you, these 2 small green areas that are being impacted by the project, 825 square feet. Of course, we've filed for our New Hampshire Department of Environmental Services wetland permit for that impact. I generally like to give the board a little bit of sense of how the facility might operate. New Balance shift will be 1 shift. It will begin at 6:30 in the morning, and it will end at 3 p.m. And that's a little unique because it's earlier than maybe the normal hours of operation of some of the businesses in the area. And when we talk about traffic in a minute, we're going to promote why we like that, because they're before the AM peak, and they're also leaving before the PM peak. And I think that's an important thing when we're thinking about traffic for this site. Only 3 trucks in and 3 trucks out per day. It is not a big trucking facility. They do get their normal type deliveries of UPS and FedEx, and they'll come to the front of the facility on the west side of the site. So this is not a hectic, busy distribution type site. It's manufacturing, currently 1 shift, and then not a big trucking facility. A couple other key items: snow removal. I'm often asked about snow removal. You know, large sites have opportunities for large open areas to accommodate snow. We have plenty of room really on all 4 sides of the site for snow storage. We don't think that will be a problem. Signage, Mr. Chairman, we're proposing one ground sign on the west side of the parking lot, really kind of facing that intersection of Ray Wazorek Drive. And that will be the ground sign for the project. We will have 2 building-mounted signs that you'll see when I present the building plans in a minute, as well as a couple wayfinding and directional signs within the project. Site lighting has been proposed in accordance with your town standards. Combination of poles and wall packs on the building, 25-foot high fixtures, LED, white and bright, downcast lighting, cutoff luminaires, no spillover to any of our abutting properties. John, if you would, be kind, next slide. So with regard to landscaping, the goals here were really to focus on a couple parts of the site. The west side, to try to soften that parking area at the intersection of Ray Wazorek and Pattengill, and you can see a concentration of trees both on the outside and the inside. We think that parking lot is going to sit up actually grade-wise, and from the eye height, as you're at that signal, let's say if you're going to the airport, your eye height would probably project over that parking, so you won't really see that full effect of that parking until you get into some higher elevations on Pattengill and Ray Wazorek. On the east side, of course, we've got a concentration of plant materials along the easterly property line and along Pattengill Road to try to essentially create a buffer to the loading dock area. In that U-shape, that's a truck maneuver area. As trucks come in off of Innovation Way, we want them to have the ability to make a turn on our property and then back into the docks. Over 130 trees are being proposed. In terms of ground cover, we'll have irrigated lawn close to the building, but in really the outside perimeter areas and really those areas along Pattengill Road, we'll have that naturalized look with a wildflower conservation mix. Yes, John, sorry, you're ahead of me. The next few slides are building elevations in perspective drawings. The building will have varying heights. The office component on the west side of the building will be slightly lower, it'll be only 13 feet in height. The manufacturing portion of the facility will be about 26 feet in height. Both components have flat roofs. The existing materials for the building will be a combination of insulated concrete panels and metal panels. We have multicolors, as you'll see in a colored perspective in a few minutes, to kind of break up the architecture. Fixed glass windows. And the architecture is really consistent with that recently developed part of Londonderry. You'll notice the New Balance sign. You'll notice the branding there that comes with the New Balance logo.
Could I ask you a question about the sign? It says on the manufacturing facade, what part of the building is that? Is that right when you drive in to the complex?
Yeah. So there's 3 signs, one ground sign
Okay.
and 2 building signs. The ground sign you see in the lower left-hand corner of the sheet that you have in front of you.
Right.
It's a combination of a stone wall and
Yeah,
a ground sign.
I understand that,
Yeah.
but I was just looking for where that red door is. Is that a section of the side, or is that the whole side? I'm just curious.
Yeah,
of
it's
what-
just a section of where the sign is.
Okay,
As I
thank you.
progress
Just-
these building plans, you'll get a bigger feel for the
Okay, that's
for the
fine,
building.
then.
Yeah.
That totally
Yeah,
makes it
so
logical.
while I have the screen up, the sign to the left of that, you see over those doors, that's the main entry for the employees and the visitors. And so you can see that New Balance sign right over the entrance. That's on the west side of the site. And then the other image you're seeing is on the Pettingill side at the east end where you're seeing New Balance on the manufacturing piece. And John, if you scroll through a couple of these, yeah, those are building elevations.
2 good pictures of it right here.
Yeah, one more.
I get you. Now,
There's some perspective drawings right there. And then I think the next one, good. Yeah, and there you can see on the corner of the lower image, you can see that sign that's on the higher piece of the manufacturing part of the building. Moving along, Mr. Chairman, a traffic study was included as part of our site plan application, was prepared by Vanessa and Associates. Scott Thornton is here with us tonight. And of course, what they do is estimate truck trips and look at intersections to see if the project creates any adverse impacts. Again, due to that earlier arrival and departure times for this shift, it's really off-peak. And so the result was that there was little or no impact to the corridor during the AM and the PM peak hours. Working with staff and having our main entrance be on the Innovation Way side, it was brought to our attention that there's a number of things that could be done to improve Innovation Way and the way it functions. And so, working with staff, we identified, I think, 12 of those minor improvements, and I'll just give you a few of them, Mr. Chairman. We're going to revise some of the painting markings on the ground and the approach lanes, swap out a number of the signal heads there, replace and revive signal phasing, update pavement markings, and add traffic signs to correspond with these minor improvements. No new pavement, no big construction Innovation Way, mostly just paint, signage, and signal head improvements. And really what that does is allow a better flow of traffic for people leaving our facility on Innovation Way to get in either direction on Pettingill Road. Just a couple more items. Construction schedule. Our client, hopes to break ground in the late summer of 2023. It's about a 15-month project. And so the hope would be to have a fully functioning building by December of 2024. In summary, the development team believes that the project is being designed in a responsible manner that's consistent with the goals of the Gateway Business District. The combination of the building and the site elements we just described do fit into the character of that part of Londonderry. As I mentioned, one of the key components is there's room to grow here for New Balance, and they've kind of overbought. They've bought green bananas by buying a little bit more land, but that was a key thing for them, to have the ability to grow, and as they grow, we could end up right back here someday with an expansion. We have received support from the Litchfield Conservation Commission for the project. We've been before Londonderry. I've been doing a lot of work in Litchfield. We've received a favorable review from the Londonderry Heritage Commission as well. The staff recommendations in the report as potential conditions of approval are acceptable to us. And with that, we seek your approval, and we're happy to answer any questions. There are, Mr. Chairman, waivers involved, and as they're discussed, I could be glad to pitch in on that discussion if needed.
Okay,
So thank you very much.
you're welcome. What we'll do, we'll go to staff, get input there, we'll go to the board, get input there, and then to the public, get any input there. So, John?
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, I'll go through the design review items first, and then we'll touch upon the the waiver requests. Under design review item number 5, the applicant indicates the New Hampshire DES sewer discharge permit, alteration of terrain permit, wetlands permit, and the town of Londonderry sewer discharge permit have been submitted, and the applicant should submit for and obtain all the project permits, indicate the permit approval numbers in the permit table on sheet 4, and provide copies of all permits for the planning department's files. Item 6, we're recommending that they provide utility clearance letters in accordance with the regulations for the water and the sanitary sewer. Jim is well along the ways with getting approvals for those 2 particular utility clearance letters. Item 7, we're requesting that they clarify items related to the master site plan, site grading plan, site utility plan, the site layout plan, and erosion control plans. We're requesting that they work with staff regarding the stop bar and possibly relocating the catch basin off of Innovation Way. We're also requesting that they work with staff regarding the culvert at the Pettingill Road exit. We're requesting that they obtain the site distance easement from the abutting lot, lot 49, 3-1. We're recommending that they verify the fire service to the building and location of the fire hydrants with the fire department. We're requesting that they remove the planning board signature block from the notes plan sheet 2. Item 8, we're requesting that they address items related to the construction details, such as providing cut sheets of the proposed snow scraper for the planning department files. We're requesting that they provide details of the proposed dumpster screening wall. We're requesting that they, items C and D are comments related to the outlet structures. Item E, revising the detail to provide the minimum thickness of 16 inches to be consistent with the geotechnical report if a waiver is granted for the pavement design, which we'll touch upon. Item F, updating the double grate catch basin detail to provide the polyethylene liner. Item G are comments related to the project drainage analysis. Updating Table 6 in the report to demonstrate the pre- and post-development impacts to each of the abutters. Updating the pre-development drainage area map to correct the duplicate subcatchment 3 labels. Item C, updating the post-development calculations for subcatchment P110. Item D, E, and F are clarifications for stormwater management area A, ponds N1 and N2. Item G and H are clarifications to subcatchment D. Lastly, on drainage was the providing the 50-year pond routing analysis calculations. Item 10 is again to address the traffic review comments dated July 5th, 2023, and verification of the DRC comments from the Planning Department, Assessing Department, Conservation Commission, Fire Department, and the Sewer Division. The waivers that Jim had mentioned, I'll go through each one of those. The first waiver request is to the Londonderry zoning ordinance, section 4.5.2.E.2, pertaining to transportation demand management, sustainable site and building design. The applicant is requesting to waive the requirements of incorporating the traffic demand management techniques in the operation of the proposed facility, and the requirement that the project meet the certified level of LEED. Section 4.5.2.E.2 of the ordinance allows the planning board to waive the requirements of this section where it is shown that that these standards impose an unreasonable burden on the development of the property within the Gateway Business District. The attached to your comment or to your memo this evening are the applicant's justification requesting those standards. Second waiver request is to the Londonderry Site Plan Regulation, Section 3.10.G2, pertaining to interior landscaping. The applicant's landscape design does not meet the minimum interior landscaping requirement within the loading area of 1 tree per 15 spaces per Section 310G3 of the site plan regs, and is requesting to allow 0% interior landscaping within the loading area. Staff does support granting the waiver as one required tree is being relocated elsewhere on the site, and planting trees within the parking fields would impede the truck movement patterns of the site. Third waiver request is to the Londonderry Site Plan Regulations, Section 3.09K2, pertaining to the driveway pavement design and construction cross-section. The applicant's driveway pavement design and construction cross-section does not comply with Section 309K2I, or Roman numeral 1 and 2 of the site plan regulations, requiring 12 inches of gravel and 6 inches of crushed gravel and 4 inches of pavement, and is requesting to allow a different parking lot design and with less base material. Staff does support granting the waiver because the applicant's proposed design is based on extent of soil analysis, takes into consideration subgrade, strength, traffic, design life, drainage, and frost susceptibility, and is certified by a geotechnical engineer. Fourth waiver request is to Section 308B6 pertaining to the driveway width. The applicant's driveway width of 37.6 feet at Innovation Way exceeds the 24 feet per Section 308B6 of the site plan regs. We note that only portions of the driveway will exceed the 24 feet. Staff does support granting the waiver as the proposed design is needed to accommodate the tractor-trailer maneuverability and access. The last waiver request is pertaining to the drain pipe cover. The applicant has submitted a written waiver request to allow a plans, it's the plan scale, not the pipe cover. Allow a plan scale of 1 inch equals 50 feet on the site-specific soil plan, landscape plan, and erosion control plans, which does not comply with the maximum scale of 1 inch equals 40 feet required per section 401C of the site plan regs. Staff does support granting the waiver because the respective scales allow the entire project parcels and abutting properties to be viewed on a single sheet. And all the other sheets use the maximum 1 inch equals 40 scale. Staff does recommend, again, the board utilize the criteria from RSA 674:36 in the Londonderry Site Plan Regulations, Section 7.04, as noted in each case as we're looking at granting each of these waivers. The first waiver request that I had gone through, though, was again regarding the transportation demand management, sustainable site and building design. Again, I refer you to Jim's justification why he's requesting that waiver. That's all I have for now.
Okay, thank you, John. Anything, Mike?
No, Mr. Chair, thank you.
You're all set. Okay, to the board. Ian, you want to go first?
Sure. I had a number of questions, but they were resolved by staff, but I do still have a couple of questions after viewing the design of the area where the trucks are going to be maneuvering. I saw on the plans, maybe you can describe that area better than me asking you questions, because it'd be the first view of the public, from the public, as you're going west along Pettingill Road. So I'm just curious, because you have your truck maneuvering area and then the trucks and all that. How are you going to, mask it from?
Sure. Yeah, I think I know how to. Okay,
reality.
great. So let me describe the intent here. The intent is for, first of all.
I was thinking down at
I
Pettingill Road
understand.
in
I'm-
that corner. Okay.
I understand.
Okay.
Yeah. First of all, trucks will arrive using Innovation Way, okay, the signalized intersection. They will enter off the cul-de-sac and proceed down into the truck area. Truck drivers like the ability to be able to look out their window to the truck well and see where they're going. And so we're providing this maneuver area here so that they can make the U-turn, get back into position, and then enter into the docks, and then leave the site in that direction. And that's the purpose of the maneuver area. We do have trailer parking here. I think the intent of your question is, how are we going to try to soften that appearance along Pettingill Road? That's a very good question. And it's going to be in a combination of an earthen berm here. So we're raising grade slightly along the rim of this. And then we've got that heavy concentration of plantings in those areas. The dumpster will have a masonry screen wall on both sides, so that won't be seen. And so in the combination of the berming, added landscaping, that is the intent and the goal, is to try to, I don't think we're going to completely hide it, but to certainly soften that appearance.
How high is the berm there, would you
Yeah,
say?
so we're working with an existing easement along Pettingill, so we can't raise it too much, but we've got 4 to 6 feet in this location right here.
Okay. Because I
and then
thought I
this-
saw that on the
Yeah.
plans, and I was very happy to see
Yeah,
that.
and then this grade actually does sit down. This grade sits about
Right.
206, and these grades in here are probably 211, 212. So it sits down in grade. So it's those combination of things.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
I had another question about the exit onto Pettingill Road from the middle of the property.
Yes.
And because it seems like it's right across from the UPS Logistics Center, people taking a left out
Yeah.
of their parking lot.
Right.
How is that going to work together? And
Yeah.
I know you have up to 240 employees in the first phase of your, up to
Yeah.
240, first phase of the project versus, reality, what's going to happen at that intersection? You could talk about it.
Yes, thank you. So we've cited this break, there is a break here already, but we've cited this exit lane such that the current island that divides good portions of Pettingill would not allow certainly an honest person to make a left turn in, okay? And so will somebody try to make that move? It's one way. They really won't be able to make that. They can try, but they won't be able to get in. It will be signed, do not enter. But by setting it west, they won't be able to make a left turn in. So we don't think a lot of people are going to try to make that move.
Okay. So I'll be taking a right from that
Yes,
area.
correct. There'll be no left turns. That's correct.
Okay, and it's only one lane
Yes.
of travel at that point.
Yeah.
But I noticed, it seemed like there was a lot of room in that area, depth, so a second lane could be put in the future.
Correct.
I was wondering if there's any discussion about that.
Full build-out,
Yeah.
Pettingill Road will be 4 lanes.
Yep. Is that any time in the near future or really not?
It'll probably be sooner than we all think.
Okay. Just questioning, because, there's cars going fast after they hit the light, taking off to get to the other light. And I just want to make
Correct.
sure everything flows smoothly, because I know there's a stop sign there. You placed a stop sign there. So I wonder how difficult it'll be now to have the UPS people take a left onto that same lane.
Yes, there'll be signage,
Yeah.
no left turn allowed. There'll be do not enter signs. This will be a stop. This is only one direction leaving exit, so.
I mean a right turn from your property, a left turn from UPS.
Right.
So. Because there's no other traffic signals there, and we'll have traffic going both ways, east and west, on Pettingill Road, so.
That's correct. So this is a discharge only, it's an exit only, it's a right turn only.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. That's all.
All set?
Yep, I had all my questions answered by staff, so,
Oh, okay, good.
thanks.
Tony?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. First of all, as the newest member, I want you to know that I take no credit, nor do I,
Gonna bust your chops about that after the meeting.
nor do I
What does it say?
take any credit for the solid gold nameplate. You'll notice that the others are plain brown,
Let's see.
and mine have,
Whoa,
I take no credit for any of that, Mr. Chair. I
Point of order,
showed up
Mr.
tonight
Chair.
and it
Why
was
does he
there.
have a gold
So,
Tony's a standout, you know?
It's to match your shirt.
so
Isn't he an alternate member too?
I don't want your job. You do a great job.
It's just to match your golden years, you know?
Thank you, I'll take that. To piggyback a little bit on what Ann was saying on the discharge, right turn only onto Pettingill, is it gonna be a kidney there so that people can't take a left? Otherwise, they damage their front end, or is it just gonna be or tar or
A
whatever?
kidney?
Yeah, so some discharges have a
Yeah.
raised
Oh, okay.
berm or it's called, I call it a kidney. I believe in the industry it's called a kidney, where people that try to take a left-hand turn are going to damage their car so that they can't take a left.
Yeah.
Just a question.
Yeah, we haven't included any of that in the design. It seems to be an aggressive measure, and if we find people are abusing that, then if they're employees of New Balance, I think we have a certain amount of control there, no left turn. But we've spent a lot of time looking at that. There's stop bars, there's proper signage. We cannot make the angle too acute, because then the people leaving will think that they're automatically going to blend into Pettingill, which we don't want. We want them under a stop condition. We want them to be able to look left and then safely enter out into Pettingill Road.
So that will be a stop sign, not a
Yes,
yield
sir.
sign? Thank
Yeah,
you. Second question is, on the northern part of the length of the building, it looks like you have some type of a walkway or sidewalk there. Northern, yeah, the little skinny, that little skinny thing, is that a walkway in the back to get out of emergency exit doors or whatever?
That's correct, sir.
Okay, and so, to staff, generally, the fire departments were looking for a circumferential way to get around the building to fight fires. Have they weighed in on this at all?
Absolutely.
So we're all set.
They're good with it.
Good, they're all set, I'm all set. I will say for an industrial building in an industrial zone, that the makeup of the exterior of the building is what I would call quite handsome. Very much like my new name tag. And I think that it's gonna be an asset to that area, and probably with the muted tones that you have, the best that you can do for an industrial building in an industrial zone. So I really like it, so thank you for that. I'm all set, Mr. Chair, thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Jeff?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. No, a lot of my questions were definitely answered by staff. I do have some more kind of general business type questions on what really attracted you to this site?
So that's a question for New Balance. I'm their civil engineer, so if you don't mind, at the appropriate time, maybe we'll make a little list of New Balance questions, and I'll have somebody come up and speak, and they could address maybe more than one New Balance question. Unless, Mr. Chairman, do you like them to answer it right now?
You can answer it right now. I don't think we'll have a lot. I think we're
Okay.
very familiar with New Balance.
Good evening, the board. I'd like to thank you very much. My name is John Campbell. I'm the Vice President of Corporate Services. To the question, this is our 6th factory that we're looking at in New England. We found that New Hampshire, in general, provided some great opportunities for us, not only from a workforce standpoint, from an incentive and tax standpoint, but we're really focused on the greater Londonderry, Manchester area for the workforce. We really see an opportunity to bring those folks in, to retain that workforce in this area. New Hampshire has always been something that the ownership has viewed as a great opportunity, and as a result, we decided to make this move.
Thank you for that. Follow up on that question there. On the plan itself, it looks like there's 32,460 square feet for offices. Is that manufacturing offices, or is that other corporate offices that you may plan to?
All of that is planned for the site operations. That'll be made up of production control, manufacturing engineering, purchasing, plant management, and operations. And so a lot of that is just the staff to run
Excellent.
the facility.
To follow up on that, so you said we have, New Balance, really well-known in New England, 6 manufacturing sites. With this first phase, it kind of seems like it's going to be larger. Like, is this going to be like the second largest manufacturing facility for New Balance in New England? I know in probably Skowhegan is probably your largest one, right?
Skowhegan will be our largest, but both Lawrence, Massachusetts, and this will be probably about tied as far as our operations, yeah.
So it'd be a
In fact, if you look at all of them, because the Lawrence Mill, which is a 5-story, 525,000 square foot facility, not all of it is manufacturing. But on a scale, you know what, probably it will be number 2. It will be number 2 in New England.
And that's without even like the future.
Yes.
Future phase 2.
Correct.
And the shift, from a service perspective, facilities aspect, 6:30 to 3 p.m. Is that shift kind of shared? Is that the same shift like shared with all of your manufacturing facilities, or do they?
For the most part, we've said 6:30, it might even go earlier. We may even do it 6. And most of our operations are like that. Our manufacturing folks like to start early and leave a little bit earlier. The processes require us to start early. We'll, to start running the machinery and get it up and running. So, yeah, for the majority of the manufacturing operation will be staying exactly with that time frame.
And one last kind of question. Seems like a lot of New Balance's investments in manufacturing facilities has really kind of stemmed from, a post-COVID, world, right? So, Skowhegan, large investment in the last 6 months, I think. Sorry if my timelines are off. Methuen, last year, it opened December 2022. So that kind of signals to me that that New Balance company is making a huge investment in, continued investment in U.S.-based manufacturing. Is there any other, I guess, in addition to the U.S.-based, manufacturing, there's also the global aspects. I'm just answering the question in my head right now. So,
I will.
It just seems like New Balance, one of the only companies that's kind of making that shift right now, and it's from my perspective great to see.
Thanks. As you may or may not know, our owner has dedicated his requirements for manufacturing in the U.S. as a primary one. And we are the only U.S. manufacturer of footwear, which we're very, very proud of. Yes, and you're right. COVID, we saw some really great increases because we all had nothing to do but run and walk. So if you think about it. And so as a result, I believe we've really had some really great inroads, as well as our technology of the product itself, the innovation, the research and development that we've done on our footwear. We've had some really good years. And so now it's time to reinvest.
Now, the shoes are assembled in U.S. Materials-wise, are they still being, or do we still rely on supply chains from, outsourced areas?
We have tried to dedicate ourselves to source U.S. manufacturers of fabric, soles, all the pieces. There are still some pieces that we have been, but working very closely and dedicated a whole task force to focus more on trying to get everything built in the U.S. But I can assure you, the manufacturer, the craftspeople that we hire in our operations are second to none. It is a true trade. And quite honestly, it's kind of interesting because one of your prominent citizens, Colonel Pillsbury, at 14, he learned how to make shoes, and he later actually opened up a shoe factory here in Londonderry. So I think it's kind of an interesting situation that we now have that opportunity to continue that tradition.
You were almost right. It
Oh,
was
Derry.
Derry. It was
Derry.
Derry. Because we had split in 1827.
Yes, sorry
so-
about that. Yeah.
Ben was in 8th grade that year.
You know what I was going to say is before I got married 40 years ago, I was wearing New Balance sneakers to run.
Thank you very much.
When was your company founded?
Well, the company itself was 1906.
That's what I was going to say, 'cause
Yeah.
I'm not that old.
Okay.
But I wore them when I was much younger, when I was working in Massachusetts, and I could get, you had an outlet, I think. That's
Well,
how-
thank you very much for doing that. Okay.
Yeah, thank you. I'm all set, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Lynn?
I have no other questions, Mr. Chairman.
Al?
All my questions have been answered, Mr. Chairman.
Ed?
As the sitting town councilor on the planning board, I certainly want to thank you for coming to town and, your comments about wanting to come to the region and come to Londonderry for the workforce, the economic development that you see here in the tax structure that we have, I think is a huge moving force in the area. And as a big-name company as yourself, hopefully it'll, in the future, bring others as well. So thank you for coming. That's all I have.
Okay, Roger.
Well, that's all I can say is if you build your buildings as good as you build your product, we're really happy to have you here. And thank you.
Jason.
Yeah, I mean, like they said, I want to commend you for not only U.S. manufacturing, but staying in New England. It's not exactly the low-cost center of the U.S., so it's quite a commitment to stay in New England. I also think that this type of facility is desperately needed around here. We have a ton of high tech, we have a ton of warehouse, but not much in terms of the actual manufacturing that somebody can, rent an apartment off of and things like that. So I did have one question. You mentioned access to workforce, which I think makes total sense. I'm assuming that's more Manchester than Londonderry, which would make complete sense as well. Are you thinking about any kind of a transportation from like downtown Manchester, Center City, Manchester to the facility?
That's a great question, and the way the planning of the facility, we're on actually a municipal transit route. So we actually are going to build out a bus stop, and hopefully we'll be able to show that as a benefit to the operation. And yes, you're right, we're looking at the Manchester great area, but we certainly would hope we could also gather folks from Londonderry.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's something that we really like to do, because New Balance not only, obviously, is a premier manufacturer, but we're also a very big promoter of community. And I think once we settle in, we will be very active in the community and support operations, and so we want to make sure that we've got that connection with the community.
Excellent. Well, thank you. Welcome to the community. Thank you. Hopefully. So,
All set?
I'm all set. Thank you.
Okay, Jake.
Mr. Chair, I think everything looks pretty good. I'd have to agree with Tony, the building for the area looks fantastic. I think it's a great use for the area as well. I know we haven't gotten to them yet, but the waivers, I just want to thank you. I think you did a very good job laying out your waivers, your reasoning, and everything. I know that's a little bit further down, but from a planning board side of things, it's very nice to see. So I look forward to it. Thank you.
Definitely welcome to Londonderry. Very pleased to have you. I think any problems crop up, Ted's the guy to get a hold of. He's a town councilor. Of course, the planning board's here to help also, and our very able staff. So we thank you very much. Are there any abutters or anyone from the public have any questions, comments, and concerns in regards to this site plan? I do not see any. I'll bring it back to the board. We have 5 waivers to render a decision on, and then the plan itself.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to grant all 5 waivers, and I'll give our motivation is RSA 674-36. A, result in peculiar and exceptional practical difficulties or exceptional and undue hardship upon the owner of the affected property, or B, an alternative site planning and building design approach meets the design objectives as stated in the regulations equally well or better than would compliance with the regulations. And C, in either of the foregoing circumstances, the waiver may be granted without substantial detriment to the public good.
Second.
Mr. Chairman.
Second by Jake.
Mr. Chairman,
Board
just one point of clarification. I think that works with respect to the last 4, but as Mr. Chartier pointed out, that first waiver request does have its own standard. And so if the board is going to waive that, it should be because holding them to that regulation would impose an unreasonable burden on the development of the property within the GB district.
Sounds good.
Art,
Yep.
can we just have him explain the reason, because it's not listed in the memo, the reason for the waiver request for the lead certification, that sort of thing?
Certainly.
Yes, I'd be happy to. Thank you for that opportunity, because I was just about to raise my hand. Under 452E2, there's really two pieces to it. There's a traffic demand management, and then there's sustainable design. And I did a poor job in presenting the building by not talking about the sustainable elements to this building, because there are many. The waiver request does outline the fact that we will have solar rooftop units on this facility. This facility will be an all-electric facility. It will not be, have any gas use at all. It has increased open space, I think 59%, where your code requires 25. We have a white roof. We have qualitative and quantitative stormwater practices. We have high-efficiency light fixtures, and we have very limited site irrigation. The project is not LEED certified, but there are many sustainable elements in the building, and I wanted to bring that point across, so I thank you for doing that. On the traffic side, I think the key thing where we're kind of hanging our hat on traffic demand management is the fact that we don't have a full curb cut onto Pettingill Road, and we have tailored the hours earlier than the AM and the peak to coincide with local traffic considerations. And so we think that those two elements are enough to grant this waiver, because the strictest enforcement of the waiver would create time, effort, money, an undue hardship to us. And we believe the intent and the spirit of your Gateway Business District is met with a good quality set of drawings and a beautiful building, and a building that's got a conscience to it that does have sustainable elements. So those are the reasons that we would ask you for support for that waiver. Thank you.
Okay,
Mr. Chair, do you want to just take the first one and then we'll kind of clean ourselves up a little bit and we'll take that first waiver and then go through the next three? I think we're kind of in the middle of a motion, aren't we?
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we could do all five together because of the,
Well, I can amend my original motion to go, to justify number one was A, result in peculiar and exceptional practical difficulties or exceptional and undue hardship upon the owner of the affected property, but I think B and C are appropriate for the rest.
Second.
okay. Motion by Al, second by Jake for the waivers. This is the five waivers we're doing. Okay. Any discussion by the board? Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. Abstentions, and the chair votes affirmative. The five waivers have been granted, and we'll proceed to the plan itself.
Mr. Chairman, motion to grant conditional approval of the site plan for 102,418 square foot manufacturing facility and associated site improvements at 55 Pettingill Road, map 14, lot 49-3, zone Gateway Business District, NB Development Group LLC applicant, and 1 Pettingill Road in accordance with plans prepared by Hayner Swanson Incorporated dated April 21st, 2023, last revised June 14th, 2023, with the precedent conditions to be fulfilled within 120 days of the approval and prior to plan signature, and general and subsequent conditions of approval to be fulfilled as noted in the staff recommendation memorandum dated July 5th, 2023.
Second.
Motion by Al, I think I heard Jake, the loudest. Second by Jake.
Shocking.
Okay, any further discussion by the board? I don't see any. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Abstentions, chair votes affirmative, and you have a conditionally approved site plan.
Thank you very much.
And my comments about the plan, it was very well done.
Yeah.
Yep.
Kevin?
Can I just say one thing? First off, thank you to the board for your approval this evening. Also want to thank town staff as well, Mike, John, and Kelly. We submitted these site plans in April, and they worked hand in hand with us the entire way to meet New Balance's timeframe. And so kudos to them. And again, thank you to all of you. This is going to be a great project for our community. So
Yes,
thank you.
it certainly will.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome to town.
Take care.
33 Londonderry Road.
Okay. We'll just wait a
I mean, 8.5.
minute here.
Yeah? No.
Okay, next we have is a public hearing on an application for a formal review of a site plan for re-tenanting of commercial suites, parking lot upgrades, and associated site improvements.
Hey, guys, we're moving on to the next.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, we're working on the next one here. This is 33 Londonderry Road, tax map 10, lot 87, zone commercial 2. Fawcett Properties LLC is the owner and the applicant, and this is basically a site plan amendment, what we have before us tonight. So,
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, there are no outstanding checklist items. Staff recommends that the board vote to accept the application as it is substantially complete and contains sufficient information to invoke the board's jurisdiction to allow the board to make an informed decision.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Motion by Al for completeness. Jake is out for the moment.
Second that, Mr. Chair.
Second by Lynn. Any discussion by the board? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Abstentions, and just show that Jake had left the room momentarily. So once the completeness has been ascertained, it starts a 65-day time frame in which this board has to render a decision, and also starts the public hearing on this. So we just need your names and addresses, please, for the official record.
Good evening, Mr. Chair. Michael Malinowski with Allen and Major Associates. We are doing business at 400 Harvey Road in Manchester. And with me, I have Scott Fawcett from Bode Equipment. He is the current owner and will be the future tenant of this facility. I believe most of you have seen this site plan before. We had been before you a few years back for some improvements. Scott, in the meantime, Mr. Fawcett has purchased the building and is proposing to relocate his operations to this facility. The current occupants ranged from a machine shop to some design studios to several automotive repair facilities in the area, all of which will be removed, and Mr. Fawcett's business will take up the entirety of the space, including some laydown areas within the buildings for his operations, some warehouse facilities, as well as the machine shop and offices. We are proposing to enhance the parking lot with striping to better facilitate the operations of the facility. Actually, if you can advance Mike to the next, that one. Yep, thank you.
Party time out there.
Yeah, party time.
Oh, yeah.
I guess we're not as exciting as New Balance.
Yeah, sorry, guys, I got a flat tire, and apparently my spare tire doesn't fit the truck, so. That's where I was, sorry about that. Just getting better.
I'll give you a ride home, Jake, you know.
Oh, thanks, Art.
So we have an existing building. We are not proposing any expansion to the building itself. The one key feature towards the west side of the building is the addition of a loading dock. There's two suites that have overhead doors that face Interstate 93. You can see the retaining wall and grass strip towards the middle of the building. That will encompass a new loading dock. As part of that, a shed roof will be provided over that area. When we advance through the next slide, you'll see in the architectural plans sort of what that looks like. We do have single access around the, I'll go back to that. Oh, go back up, Mike. That one, right, oh, right there, that one, thank you. One directional traffic, we have an existing curb cut on Londonderry Road. All trucks and vehicles enter the site, maneuver to the north in a single direction around the building. We do have 60 parking spaces provided on the property within the existing confines of the pavement, where 54 are required. We do have 3 ADA spaces, 2 on the west side, 1 on the east side, and we do have some parallel parking along the front of the building. We are proposing some new landscaped areas along the west side, primarily where the loading dock is, for some sitting areas, and towards the north, where there will be some facade upgrades to close off the existing overhead doors and provide glass storefronts for the offices. We do have a net decrease of nearly 2,000 square feet of pavement being removed. As working with staff, there are some gravel areas along Londonderry Road along the east side and to the north that will be reestablished as grass in those areas, along with new parking lot striping. If we can go to the architecturals. I think you got the file, Mike. Yep. As you can see, boat equipment will be the primary tenant. As you can see on the backside, the overhead doors will be removed and glass storefront will be installed. That will be their new primary office space. The area in the middle, you can see we've got on the left, sort of perspective view of the new facade work. To the right is the new loading dock. You can see where the pickup truck is parked. There were 2 existing overhead doors that fronted 93. Those will be closed off, and a single loading dock with a full 4-foot access will be provided there. There'll be a short retaining wall to help with the grade, and a grassed area that will be have some picnic tables for employee enjoyment. Along the front, we do have some landscaping that is going in that area as well to enhance the front office. Be happy to answer any questions that the board may have.
Okay, what we'll do, we'll go for input from the staff, input from the board, and then from anyone in the public. John?
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, design review items. Item number 1, we're requesting that they update the following on the the layout and materials plan. Item A, dimension the aisle width between the new landscaping islands and the striped parking spaces to indicate the widths and for proper construction. Item B, project proposes parking along south in the front of the building dimensioned as 5 feet without curbing and indicates bollards are to be placed along the parking spaces. It's unclear if the bollard spacing would provide a substantial bumper and provide a minimum 4 feet from the building in accordance with the site plan regulations. We're recommending the applicant arrange a meeting with the planning department and zoning officer to discuss the proposed parking design. Item C, we're requesting that they clarify the box-out area along the building front south of the indicated handicap parking area. Item D, the applicant has noted that outside storage is proposed for the project, but has not addressed or clarified parking calculations and screening for the storage area as applicable. Recommend the applicant arrange a meeting with the planning department and zoning officer to discuss the proposed outdoor storage in compliance with the zoning ordinance. Item number 2, we're requesting that they clarify and address the following on the construction details. Item A, provide a detail for the proposed grassed areas. Item B, provide a detail for the dumpster, screening fence, and swing gate, and the plan set in accordance with the site plan regulations and for proper construction. Item 3, since this memo had been put together, Mike has provided us the traffic report impact analysis. Again, we're just recommending that the applicant discuss the impact analysis as presented. Item 4, we're requesting that they verify the DRC comments of the Planning Department, Conservation Commission, and the Fire Department. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you, John. Anything, Mike?
No, Mr. Chairman, thank you.
Okay. We'll go through the board. I'll start with Jake this time.
Mr. Chair, I'm all set. I think this is a great upgrade from what's there right now. I think certainly this will look a lot better going up 93. I guess the one question I have in front of the loading dock there, where you've got your couple of picnic benches, is that curbed or anything?
It is not.
It is not?
No.
Okay. Would just think get rid of that little grass area, but I'm just one opinion. I see it getting very messy in the winter. That's all I've got.
Okay. Jason?
Agree with Jake on the 93 side. This is would be a huge improvement over what's there now. Do you have architectural renderings of the other side?
The Londonderry
Does-
Road side.
Huh?
The Londonderry Road side.
Exactly, the Londonderry Road side.
I don't think we have in our submission, we have a rendering, I don't think I have it here tonight.
No, it's.
No, we didn't have anything for that
It looks
side.
like this is all the 93 side.
Yeah.
Yeah, our goal was to beautify the 93 side, and what it looks like.
And I thank you for that,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, more people see that side than.
Exactly. I mean, other than that, I have no
The
questions.
color decor will continue the same on the other side, all right throughout the building.
Okay, all right. I'm sure if this is the back side, I'm sure the front side will be nice as well. So I'm all set, thank you.
Roger?
Looks good to me, thank you.
Ed?
I forget, do you guys have the whole building as it is currently? Or are
Well,
you
there's a
expanding
number of
into?
tenants that are in there, we've been moving them out as we go, but we'll be taking over the entire building.
Oh, wonderful. Well, it is great to see business expand in town, and it looks like it'll be a wonderful site and certainly a wonderful view from the highway.
Yeah.
Al?
All set, Mr. Chairman.
Lynn?
Yep, no comments. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Jeff?
No additional comments.
Okay, Tony?
I will say, thank you for buying the site, thank you for cleaning it up, thank you for making it look beautiful, and continued success.
Okay, Ian?
The only question I have is how many employees do you have?
In our New Hampshire, well, total for the company, we have 63. In our New Hampshire office, it's about 48
48 on Londonderry Road?
on Londonderry Road, but of that 48, about 18 of them work from home.
Okay.
So if we are fully at the New Hampshire office, it's one rare, but it'd be 48 coming from the New Hampshire office.
Okay, that's good, because I was wondering, because of the amount of parking
And parking.
that's there. I'm looking at the illustration where it says Town of Londonderry Assessor's Map, right on the building. And are those parking spaces along 93? That's not the one I'm seeing, maybe, let's see what, I'm
Be on the site plan. Next page, Mike,
looking for the right page.
right there.
There.
Is that the one you have up, Ian?
Yes, because, no, it's not the one, it's the one which shows handy.
Couple of handicap, we have 2 handicap spots that front on 93.
Okay, no, I'm seeing one that, I wasn't sure if they're parking spots, they're very faint
I
lines.
think that's the lighting plan, Ann.
Yeah, well, whatever I'm looking at, okay,
Yep.
thank you. I'm all set then. You've got more than enough parking spaces, it looks like.
Yeah. Okay, are there any abutters or anyone from the public, any questions, comments, and concerns in regards to this amended site plan? I do not see any, so I'll bring it back to the board.
Mr. Chairman, I don't see any waiver requests, so I will move to make a motion to grant conditional approval of the site plan for re-tenanting of commercial suites, parking lot upgrade and associated improvements, 33 Londonderry Road, map 10, lot 87, zone C2, Fawcett Properties LLC, owner and applicant, in accordance with plans prepared by Allen and Major Associates Incorporated, dated May 18, 2020, last revised May 31st, 2023, with the precedent conditions to be fulfilled within 120 days of the approval and prior to plan signature and general and subsequent conditions of approval to be fulfilled, as noted on the staff recommendation memorandum dated July 5th, 2023.
Second?
Motion by Al, second by Jake. Any further discussion by the board? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Abstentions, and the chair votes affirmative, and you have a conditionally approved amended site plan and a definite improvement
Looking
from
forward to seeing it.
what's
Yeah.
been there.
Certainly with all the business coming to town, I think you'll be really off and running, that's for sure.
Thank you.
Okay, and the Zelinski application, that has been continued to next Wednesday, so at 7 PM right here. So we have any other business? I just want to mention, next week, we'll have two continued plans and two conceptual plans on the agenda. And don't forget to get your pictures in for the Londonderry Lookbook. We'll be having a joint meeting with the Heritage Commission at their meeting on the 27th of July. That's at 7 PM right here, so save the date.
I'd just like to say, I think both the plans that came to us this evening are pretty good. You know, you've got up in the north end of town, Pettingill Road doing exactly what we were hoping it to do, with a wonderful business coming into town. And then we've got another one where a gentleman owns a business in town and he bought a building and he's taking something old and making it look really good. I think these were two great plans tonight.
And then tentatively for October 11th at 5:30 PM, we'll have a non-meeting with our new attorney, Megan Carrier. And she'll be going through a lot of the statutes, probably case law, and basic do's and don'ts of planning board members, or actually probably really land use members in general. So that will be educational for us.
Motion to adjourn, Mr.
Second.
I want to adjourn.
Tony,
by
you look like
Al.
you had something you wanted to say.
No. Adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Where are we on the, meeting's over, right?
Meeting's over.
Where are we on the sign?